So I have a very special guest with me here today. Her name is Zlatina, and she actually just completed a 30-day plant-based challenge for the first time ever. So she's going to let everybody know how everything unfolded, what she experienced, what the biggest challenges were, and any advice that she can provide for people who are maybe questioning or at least considering this transition at some point, even if just for a little while, right?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, why don't you just tell us a little about yourself? Maybe how old you are, where you generally live, what you do for a living, your family, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So I'm Zlat. My full name is Latina. I was born in Bulgaria, but I live in Montreal. I was raised with a very dairy-rich diet and a lot of meat as well. So I have never previously considered going vegan. It was something that my family never thought of doing, and it just based on my kind of cultural values, it's not something that is very widely accepted or even common back in Bulgaria. It is something that I personally wanted to try. I do work out a lot. I am in the fitness kind of niche. I have a YouTube channel that tries to help people get into working out, get into eating healthy, and taking care of their overall health. So I wanted to see if going vegan would have an impact on my training and how I felt, as well as I wanted to see if I would get enough protein on this diet in order to continue building muscle with my training.
Ah, the $1 million question everybody has when transitioning to this diet. How am I going to get enough protein? Okay,
Correct.
so great. Let's see. I know you touched on this a little bit, but could you give us like a general feel for what your diet consisted of prior to starting this challenge?
Yes, absolutely. And how I would define it is I was pretty much eating like a bodybuilder. So I thought to maximize any muscle gains, I had to get 1 gram per pound of protein per day. So I weigh about 135 pounds. So I was aiming to get 135 pounds, 35 grams of protein per day. So I would eat a lot of eggs. I would eat a lot of chicken. I did eat oats as well, some plants as well, since I tried to be overall healthy. I would have a salad with chicken, salad with fish. I would have wraps, chicken wrap. I also ate fish, tacos, for example. So overall, I would say I prepared a lot of the food at home, so I wasn't eating very processed in terms of a very processed diet. However, I was eating a lot of protein powder. So I would supplement that, whether it's in a protein shake or I would make breakfast pancakes using protein powder. So I was really focused on the protein.
All right, so overall, fairly healthy. I mean, it's not your typical standard American
Yes.
diet, cheeseburgers and fries and ice cream all the time.
No, no, correct.
That's encouraging. Okay, so what does a typical day's, or what did a typical day's worth of meals look like while you were on the challenge?
So when I was on the challenge, I personally have a sweet tooth and I like to have a sweet breakfast. So I would have two different breakfasts. One would be oats with chia seeds. I would just cook that and then top it up with some granola and peanut butter or any kind of nut butter. The second breakfast was my favorite. It's one that I discovered on Alessandra Anderson's YouTube channel, and it's kind of like a fruit ice cream that she would make. So it's a thick smoothie. I would make two different ones. I would put one with mango and spinach, and one with berries and banana. I would make that into an ice cream and then top it up again with granola and nut butter.
Oh, you'd make smoothie bowls.
Yes, exactly. And I love them so, so much. I found that adding spinach to them was a really good way to boost my iron intake as well. And I really, honestly, genuinely enjoy them so much and look forward to having them every morning.
Well, of
So they
course,
can
it's a
be really
dessert.
good. Yes, I know. I'm having dessert for breakfast.
That's okay. It's a healthy dessert.
Yes.
What about the rest of your meals?
Um, so for lunch, I like to have more of a savory meal. So I would either have avocado toast with beans. I would do a wrap with tofu. I would do a big salad with beans again in it. I could roast some vegetables like potato, broccoli, and then kind of make a little tahini dressing and top that up. Yeah, I think that was pretty much kind of the ideas of meals that I kind of stuck to. I would do lentil soup that I would have as well. I would make um, protein pasta that I call it. So it's either lentil or pea pasta that I just make into a pasta with tomato sauce. Yeah, that's pretty much what it looked like on the vegan 30-day challenge.
That sounds great. So
Yeah.
I know you weren't a huge fan of the tofu, but you forced yourself to continue consuming it based on the high protein factor, right? Did you ever give that up to find a better alternative?
I actually enjoy tempeh a lot. The first time I tried to prepare it, I didn't know how to do it, but now I figured out a little bit better how to cook it, and I think I prefer tempeh to tofu. But if I'm not having tempeh or tofu, I would stick to legumes such as beans, lentils. Yeah, but other than that, for my protein, it would be just a variety of vegetables, nuts, and everything together. I actually was able to get anywhere from 80 to 95 grams of protein per day, which was so within what is recommended in order to build muscle. I was just at the kind of lower end of what the recommendation is.
Okay. Yeah, for
Mhm.
anybody who is not a fan of tofu, it is not an essential or a prerequisite or any kind of requirement for this diet. So, for those who are just looking to have a healthy diet, and if you have seen my channel, you know that I really advocate for whole plant foods instead of things like tofu and tempeh. And there's nothing wrong with those foods. They're just not as nutritious as you would had you had them in their whole, counterpart. So,
Mhm.
and the other thing is obviously the common theme of the protein, and is an abundance of protein in plants. That's actually where the animals get it in the first place. So there's really no need to try to go out of your way. And I think Zlatina can attest to that. With the protein powders and such, you are getting plenty of protein in your diet. Actually, when we're infants, we have about 5 to 6% of protein in breast milk, and that's really the time frame in your life when you want to be getting the most protein. And then after that, you really want to calm it down. So really 3 to 5% of our total daily calories from protein is ideal. And anything above that has been shown to cause a number of health concerns. So I'm really excited to hear where Zlat sits on this topic nowadays.
Yes. So for me, obviously, I have a bit of a different mindset, I think, when it comes to protein. I do feel that I need it in my diet, and not only for muscle building, but in terms of feeling satiated and full. When I would have a protein rich meal, I would definitely be full for longer. If I don't balance my meals well, and let's say it's a low protein, high carb, high fat meal, I would be hungry very quickly. That's one thing that I noticed. And however, on the vegan diet, there are definitely different sources of protein, like you said, that you could have and feel satiated and full. It's just something to be, I think, maybe more mindful, because everyone knows chicken has protein, but then when you're eating a vegan diet, you have to sort of relearn it. Okay, where do I get my protein? Okay, legumes. Okay, I have to make sure that I'm eating legumes with, every meal so that I can meet my protein requirements and that I can feel full. So for me, it is important. And also, I did want to get at least the minimal recommendation. The recommendation went to maximize muscle gain is to get 1.4 to 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. And that will depend also on how lean you are, how you're training, how advanced you are in the gym. So it's not universal for everyone. It's very personal how much you actually require. But that was the general guideline I was trying to follow, that I personally am comfortable with. And I was able to meet it on the vegan diet, which made me feel very comfortable and at ease, and like it is something that I could continue doing and working out and feeling like I'm maximizing muscle gain.
You mentioned you were enjoying the meals. Is that accurate? And you found them
Yes,
satiating after you found that balance that worked best for you?
yes, I feel that the balance that works best for me is to have a balanced meal, like I said. And sometimes I feel like having a smaller meal, but sometimes I feel like having a high volume meal as well. And I think with the vegan diet, it's very easy because you're eating so many vegetables. You can have a really high volume meal. So if you're feeling really hungry, you could have that and not have too many calories in the same time. So it's been a really good balance. I feel like you can adapt it to how you feel at that time and make really delicious meals. I found that cooking is a lot easier being vegan because I personally don't like to handle meat or anything like that. My boyfriend has always done it for me. When we cook, that is usually his job. So making my meals myself was a lot easier. Just cut a few vegetables, cook them. I think there's a lot of sauces you can make yourself as well with peanut butter or tahini, for example. So the food is just overall delicious. And if you try any vegan restaurants in, for example, Vancouver or Montreal, there are some wonderful ones and really truly healthy that aren't using anything processed. It's just homemade, or even if you want to have a burger, they can have a homemade burger patty made out of, sweet potato and peas, etc. So I think overall, I think the vegan food is very delicious and easy to prepare, in my opinion.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you had a good experience, Zlat.
Yeah.
Here's a big question. How were your cravings for processed and animal foods during and after the challenge?
That is a very good question. I'm excited to answer it because, funny enough, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to try this challenge. Is that although I was eating healthy, I was craving sweets and chocolate on my previous diet. I didn't know why. I still don't know why, but once I transitioned to being vegan, it just all went away. My blood sugar, I think, was a lot more stable because my fiber intake was a lot higher. My fiber intake more than doubled once I went vegan.
Sure. Easily,
Yeah.
right?
But I don't have any cravings. And also, well, I am having dessert for breakfast. However, it is a healthy dessert. So
Sure.
I feel like the sweet kind of meals that I have integrated in my day to day keep me satisfied and happy with my food that I don't even need to crave or think of chocolate at all.
That's probably one of the biggest perks. And you mentioned the other one, the you can eat a larger volume of food and not have any sort of like feelings of
Exactly.
regret or embarrassment or shame.
Oh yeah, you could eat until you were going to burst or full almost, and it's all healthy food. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention too, since we're on that topic, is that yes, you eat full meals, you feel really full, but the one thing that I did notice on a vegan diet is you feel light. Even if you're full, you digest the food a lot faster, I feel, than on my previous diet. When you're eating fish or chicken, you just feel that kind of heaviness that you have in your stomach. Whereas on a vegan diet, I felt light the whole time. And the other thing is though that once I do get hungry, I felt that I got hungry with a bang. It was like I was hungry like no tomorrow, and 30 minutes before I was feeling fine. So
Get out of
that's
my
just one
way.
thing. One thing to watch out is have frequent meals so that you don't go hungry really fast.
Yes, plan ahead, be prepared. Absolutely. Those are great tips. And I'm going to ask you later to what your advice is going to be for my viewers. Can you talk a little bit about like what foods you crave the most, at least in the beginning, maybe? And what was the hardest thing to give up?
So I thought that I would miss eggs. That was the one thing that going into the challenge, I was not ready to give up. But the thing that I missed the most actually is fish. I don't know why. The one thing I was craving is salmon. I really wanted salmon or shrimps, and it is very strange because I don't usually crave it on my previous diet, but that was the one thing that I wanted to have.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And you stuck to your guns. I'm super proud of you. You with the whole 30 days.
Actually, it was so bad. I wanted sushi so bad one time that I actually made vegan sushi at home, and it was good. It kind of tamed my craving for that time.
Absolutely. If you go to sushi restaurants, they are very creative with getting it just right so it tastes like there's fish in it. I think it's the nori wraps, like the seaweed wraps that still have that fishy flavor because it's from the ocean. It has, all of the sediment and whatnot, or all of the sodium and such. So, let's see. You talked a little bit about your primary motivation. You wanted to see if your health could improve and if this could be something sustainable even with your bodybuilding. Was there anything
Mhm.
else that I missed? Like what results you were hoping to achieve?
So the other results that I wanted to achieve is to try to look a little bit deeper into my macro and micronutrients that I was consuming. So I was always so focused on the macronutrients in terms of carbs, fat, protein, that I wasn't really looking if I was getting enough potassium, enough iron, enough vitamin A, vitamin C, etc. So the other aspect of it was that I wanted to make sure that I am eating an overall healthy diet and meeting those kind of daily requirements for iron, potassium, vitamin A, vitamin C. And I did notice that they have improved since I started.
Oh,
My
good.
iron has, it is great right now. I am definitely meeting my 18 grams per day of iron. It's amazing. I've never felt so good. I feel like I have energy. I feel like even my muscle soreness might have improved a little bit. It's really hard to say because it has improved by just a little bit, but I do feel like I have more energy. I feel lighter. I can walk longer. So I do feel a difference from that. My potassium has also really improved.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you found something that works for you.
Mhm.
What were some of the noticeable changes you experienced in your body and in your health?
So my body was a bit difficult because I had a rough start, right? So when I started, my body was feeling terrible. My first week on the vegan diet, I was very bloated. I had a lot of heartburn, and overall, I was ready to quit. I had a hard time sticking to it. I did get some heartburn medication. After about a week, it disappeared, so I started to feel a bit more normal. Week 2 and 3, I still had bloating. So at that point, I wasn't ready to kind of make a final decision of how I was feeling. So when I would eat beans or anything like that, at the end of the day, I would feel a lot more bloated. And it's only week 3, funny enough, it took quite a while for my body, I think, to get used to it. All of that disappeared. I started to have just, I wasn't bloated at the end of the day. I felt light. I would wake up and feel kind of really light and good. And I know that last week I also kind of increased my potassium intake. So I don't know if maybe because I had a lot of carbs and a lot of potassium, but I don't eat a lot of salt. Maybe just some of that water weight that I was carrying dropped down in week 3. And I also started to lose weight in week 4. So the last week is when all the water retention went away and I actually started to lose weight. I think it is water weight. I don't think it is necessarily fat, but that week was just revolutionary for me, and that's when I thought, okay, I can do this. This seems to be like, I seem to feel like myself as of week 4.
Great. Yeah, anybody who has transitioned to this diet knows that it takes a few weeks for your gut bugs to really transition from eating a lot of animal products to eating strictly plants. And it takes time, but it's so worth it. So I'm glad you stuck with it, Zlat.
Yeah.
So besides the bloating, what were the major challenges taking on this transition?
Yes, some of the challenges were, so I did spend half of the challenge in Bulgaria and half of the challenge in Montreal. So depending where I was situated in Bulgaria, when I was going out to restaurants with my family, it was very hard to find a vegan option. Back in Bulgaria, there's a lot of dairy in the cuisine and then a lot of meat. So even if certain salads didn't have meat, they would have dairy. So I had to ask for them to remove it. There were options in terms of salads, but nothing else really. So one thing I noticed is when we went out to restaurants, I had to make sure I ate before the restaurant. If not, unfortunately, there were just not enough options for me to feel full, and the options just didn't have any kind of plant-based protein. It was a lot of salads. So I made sure that I ate before, and then I would just enjoy the salad with my family. Once we did get back to Montreal, however, there's so many options. So depending where you're situated, it might be easy, it might be harder. So that was one challenge that I found.
Yeah, the restaurants are a big deal for people. Dining out is such a favorite pastime in our culture, and it's very difficult to pry people away from that and have them
Yeah.
make more of their foods at home. And there's absolutely no reason why you should stop eating out or stop being social by any means. There are many ways to accommodate this diet. And yes, unfortunately, in Bulgaria, Zlatina had to kind of work her way around a lot of salad. But it's honestly, it's better than nothing, and you have made it through the challenge. So I'm really proud of you, and I'm really excited for the outcome. And for anybody who's trying to do this in America or in Canada, there are many more vegan options. But even if you're not comfortable with those options, you can bring your own food. You can bring things to add into the food, your own condiments. There are many different strategies to help you be social on this diet and not feel so alienated or isolated by any means. So that's actually my next question, was how you were able to navigate the social implications. Did you have anything else to add to that? How did your friends respond?
Yes, I was about to add that my friends were lovely. They were so good about it. They made me discover, different meals that I hadn't thought of that you could have. So yes, one of my friends hosted a dinner and she made spring rolls, and it was so delicious. We all sat down. It's a very social thing too. You roll them together, you put all the veggies, dip them in peanut sauce. So that was lovely. So overall, my friends were just so sweet. They accommodated for everything. So was my family. When I was in Bulgaria, my grandma, she made potatoes, she made lentil soup. So overall, my family and friends were amazing with it.
Oh, that's great. And I know some
Yeah.
of our family and friends aren't as supportive as others, and maybe it's time to recognize that they're not really supportive in other areas of your life either. And, sometimes we need to make room for new relationships that are going to be positive and supportive, and not to go to the extremes of things, but that's been my experience. So just being realistic. Okay, so do you see yourself maintaining this long term? That's really the question that we're after. Like, what happens next?
Okay, so I went through phases with this question. I will say I obviously haven't been fully vegan since the 30 days expired. When it did stop, I did continue being fully vegan for about 2 weeks because I was here in Montreal on my own. And at that point, I was feeling like I would stick to this 100%. I like it. I wasn't craving meat. I didn't want to eat meat. Actually, I felt like I was even maybe a little disgusted by meat. I don't know why. But I did go to Vancouver after that, and we met with friends. It was their wedding, etc. So obviously, in the social aspect of it, I did have chicken. I restarted having eggs, but that is pretty much the extent to which I have went back. So I haven't went back fully to my previous diet. However, there are a few foods that I feel that I missed that maybe I will reincorporate. However, I would keep the same habits that I formed eating plant-based, and continue as much as possible when I'm at home and preparing my own meals to eat plant-based.
That's wonderful, Zlat. I'm so excited for you. And honestly, I had no expectations. Like, this is your journey. I was just super excited
Yeah.
to be a part of it. And just hearing that you have shifted some of your mindset around your diet and the implications of our choices and how your body has been impacted. And that's really, I'm excited to just hear that coming from you. So,
Yeah.
okay, so I have one more question for you, and that is, what advice would you give to somebody considering this transition to a plant-based or a vegan style of diet?
Yes, so if I had to do it again, I think I would have done it slower. I did not enjoy that first week. I feel like maybe I would have increased my fiber little by little, and then once I was ready to tolerate it, then increase it even further. So that was one big thing. I feel like it was really hard that first week. I did not feel well. I had this like ball of something stuck in like near my heart, and I just couldn't eat even. I felt like I was hungry, but I just couldn't consume the food because I was just feeling so bloated and not well. So I would say go slow, ease into it. You don't have to do it in 1 week. I mean, it's a lifestyle change. You could take a few weeks, even a month to ease into the fiber intake, so that you don't have to go through that first week that I went through, because it could discourage you. I really did feel like giving up that first week, and if you can't pass through like getting used to the fiber, I think you won't see the benefits of it, because it does take a little while to get used to. So that's one thing that I would recommend. What else would I recommend? I would recommend frequent meals. Smaller frequent meals is what I would recommend.
Those are excellent tips. Thank you so much. And for anybody who wants to see the full 30-day experience, Zlat is quite the videographer. So I will link her channel below, and maybe even a link to the challenge itself if you guys want to check that out, if it's done by the time this video comes out. So Zlat, thank you so much for sharing your experience with my viewers. I hope you guys learned something new, or maybe got inspired to try it yourself.
And thank you, Carly. I just wanted to say huge thank you to you. I couldn't have done it without you. You were there every step of the way. You were always available, and you gave me such good recommendation and tips in the first call that we had. So just really, I appreciate everything you've done.
Oh, you're so welcome, Zlat. This was my pleasure. This is what I do for a living. This is my passion. This is something that I think everybody should know about, and everybody should have the opportunity to experience. So I'm really glad that you took the plunge.
Thank you. Honestly, thank you. I couldn't have done it. Again, I couldn't have done it without you.
You're so welcome.